the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Welcome to Rogers Center. The roof is closed. The Oakland A's are in town. This will be the first opponent for the Blue Jays that doesn't live in the AL East. Bob Melvin's Oakland A's are here, and they're coming off a great trip to New York. They swept the Yankees. They have not lost on the road this season. Top of the order, their leadoff man, Billy Burns, has a 5-game hit streak. He's 7 for 22 with a couple of doubles and a couple of triples. Billy Burns, top of the order. Then right down at the bottom of the order, Marcus Semien against the Blue Jays. He has hit well, 368 average. He has a double, a home run, and he's driven in a pair. And the good news for the A's, Semien playing very good defensively. It's short.
Playing great defense. That's a lineup that Aaron Sanchez will face as he gets ready for his 4th start of the season and his first career start versus the A's. He's made a couple of relief appearances against Oakland. Last time out, just 1 run in 7 innings. Picked up his first win of the season. He was great in that game. He has now gone 6 straight starts, holding the opponents to 2 earned runs or less.
Here's the first pitch of the game. Cut on and fly it into left field. Ezequiel Carrera is there, 1 down. 1 pitch, 1 out for Aaron Sanchez. Defensively, Carrera taking over in left field for Michael Saunders, who's got a little bit of a hamstring problem. Kevin Pillar and Jose Bautista center and right. You'll notice a change at short as well. Ryan Goins is at shortstop next to Josh Donaldson. Darwin Barney comes in to play second. Smoke going to get a lot of action at first base now. And Russell Martin is back behind the plate for Aaron Sanchez.
3rd start of the season for Darwin Barney at second base. He's filling in. Troy Tulowitzki made a couple of great plays last night, diving to his left. Jammed up his hip just a little bit. He will get the night off. Darwin Barney in at second base.
Chris Coughlin takes a strike. Aaron Sanchez is really pitching with a lot of confidence, and last time out he lived with that fastball.
Yeah, he needed to, because they weren't hitting anything else. There's a great curveball. I had a chance to talk with him, and I said, how come all the fastballs? He said, because they weren't hitting it, so why change?
That's a good way to look at things. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Sanchez ahead, 0-2 to Chris Coughlin. Off the plate, Coughlin playing at third base. Danny Valencia, who had played at third base, was on the DL. He injured a hamstring and had to come out of the game in New York. Hit him. Trying to bury that pitch down and in, and got too far inside and hit Coughlin, so he'll go to first base.
You know, if there's one pitch that Aaron has thrown this year that does not have the consistency of his other pitches, it's his curveball. At times it's very good. He threw a great one to Coughlin for strike 2, but then reached back for a little something extra here and missed by a mile. Hit him in that front foot, and Coughlin's feeling it. Watch where this one hit. Right off that front foot, and he is still wearing it down there at first base.
Yeah, it hit him right on top of that right foot, and the trainer is out now to attend to him, but he's feeling a lot of pain right now, trying to walk off the effects of that. The A's, of course, are down with Valencia being on the disabled list with a hamstring injury, so Coughlin's going to take first base, hit by a pitch. Bob Melvin in his 6th season with the Oakland A's. 2-time manager of the year, once in the National League, once in the American League.
He's got his team playing really well right now. A lot of confidence. They went in and swept the Yankees in New York.
Josh Reddick at the plate. Blue Jays playing 3 men on the right side of the infield for Reddick, and there's a strike. Three home runs and 10 RBIs in the early going for Reddick. Strike 2.
That's the pitch I thought he was going to throw Coughlin right there with 2 strikes. That little comeback fastball in the inner half. Blue Jays are changing up their defense now with 2 strikes on Josh Reddick. That is Josh Donaldson now going over in the hole. And they keep the middle infielders in line on a ground ball. Defensive swing, and Reddick fouls it off
right at home plate. Reddick had a bounce-back season last year. He had 272 with 20 home runs and 77 RBIs. His best season since his first year with Oakland.
Finally healthy. He was healthy. He has been battling some injury problems over the last few years, but when he was healthy, he had a huge year with Oakland. 30 home run season.
2012. 0-2, 1 out. Outside. You mentioned Sanchez making his first start against the A's, and this is a different Aaron Sanchez than they saw pitching out of the bullpen.
Out of the bullpen, it was basically, here's my fastball, let's see what you can do with it. Every now and then he'd mix in a changeup.
Line drive into center. That's going to get down. Sound like it broke his bat. Coghlan will stop at second.
But now, as a starter, let's take a look at the scouting report for young Aaron Sanchez. Pitch usage and his velocity. The fastball, he'll throw it 77% of the time, and it's 95, 96. He can even reach back for a 97 if he needs to. The curveball is a pitch I think that is starting to come around for him. The changeup, he'll throw about 7% of the time, and every now and then he'll mix in a cutter. But I'll tell you what, he's got that bulldog mentality when he is out on that mound, and if you have a chance to talk to him, you know, he is built like a starter. He thinks like a starter. He acts like a starter, and he wants to be good. I mean, he's got a fire inside him that burns to be really good.
Jed Lowry, the second baseman, takes the first pitch strike. Lowry, another go-around with the Oakland A's. He spent 2 seasons with Oakland and then went to Houston. He had a thumb injury last year. Caused him to miss 83 games with the Astros.
Well, he wasn't going to play shortstop in Houston anymore, I'll tell you that.
For a long, long time.
For a long time, and I think Oakland recognized that. He wasn't going to play second base every day there either. They have 2 of the finest middle infielders in all of baseball, so I think Oakland recognized that and said, you know, we have a chance to get this guy back. And after they traded Brett Lawrie, there was a spot at second base opened up for Jed Lowry.
Strike 3. Tried to check his swing. Couldn't pull the trigger. Another good fastball at 96.
He can reach back for a little something extra if he needs it right there. You see Lowry shaking his head. Maybe he had curveball in his mind, and Aaron throws this one right down the middle.
So 2 outs now. Sanchez hit Coghlan. He's at second. Reddick had a broken bat single into center. He's at first. Stephen Vogt has found a home in Oakland. Become a big part of their ball club.
Boy, what a year he had last year for the Oakland A's. Showing off some power, playing in that ballpark.
18 home runs and 71 driven in for the A's catcher. Began his career with Tampa Bay. Martin came out of the chute looking at second, but there was no play there for him. 2 balls and no strikes on Stephen Vogt.
There's the risk number that he has this year. Last year it seemed like every time there was a runner on base, he would come up with a big hit for Oakland. Got to be careful with this guy. He's a very good low ball hitter.
That's a fair ball. Bounces over Smoke into right field. Coghlan's in to score. Reddick's going to be stopped at third. Stephen Vogt comes up with a big hit. Gives the A's a 1-0 lead. Coghlan hit by a pitch, comes around to score on the RBI double by Vogt.
Told you the Oakland A's come into this game hot. Scored 7 runs last night, a season high 7 runs last night. That ball is on the inner half, but it is up. There's Smoke at first base. It hit a seam right where the dirt and the carpet meet. So Justin had no chance to get it, but they scored 7 runs last night. against the Yankees and sweeping that series.
Sonny Gray staked to an early lead. Second and third, 2 outs now. This is Coco Crisp. He goes after the first pitch, and you're right, the A's, they're only hitting .230 as a team, but they've gotten some timely hits to this point of the season. That run they have scored here in the first is their 53rd run of the season.
23 of those during their current 5-game winning streak.
Ball on a strike to Coco Crisp.
I tell you, he threw a good curveball to Coughlin for a strike and then hit him with a curveball, and he hasn't thrown one since. I think you still have to be able to use that. There's one.
Good call, Pat. Russell must have heard you.
He's mic'd in to our broadcast, right?
1-2 now, 2 outs. Oakland has scored a run.
He's got a very good curveball. It's just, can he find the strike zone consistently with it? And when he does, he's tough.
Missed up and away. Up the middle. Goins behind second. Saves a couple of runs for Sanchez. Brian Goins, a natural shortstop, filling in for Troy Tulowitzki, saves a couple of runs with a good play up the middle. Coco Crisp hit it, looked like it was headed into center field, but Goins cuts it off. He was shaded in that direction right through the wickets of Sanchez. Goins saves 2 runs. Couple of hits in the first. Let's take a look at the Blue Jays lineup. Ezequiel Carrera leading off, Donaldson, then Jose Bautista. Bautista is 5 for 10 against the A's starter Sonny Gray. He has a home run. And then Russell Martin, he has hit well against Oakland. This might be the ball club he's been looking for. Russell trying to get on track early on. And the Oakland A's have had good pitching, and they send their best to the mound tonight in Sonny Gray. 4th start of the season, but his first road start of the season. He allowed 2 runs in 6 innings last Saturday, beating the Kansas City Royals, but it took him a season-high 114 pitches to get through his 6 innings. He called that a very frustrating game. He just couldn't put away Kansas City. For his career, he's made 3 career starts versus the Blue Jays. He's 1-1 with an ERA just over 2 against the Blue Jays. Sonny Gray was an all-star for the first time last year. He pitches out of that David Price type of delivery, misses downstairs, and Sonny Gray and David Price are very close friends. They both played baseball at Vanderbilt in Nashville. Ezequiel Carrera on the road trip, just 1 for 5, and he takes one downstairs. 2-0. Michael Sanders has been hot, but he's dealing with a little bit of a hamstring problem. Had a great road trip.
Nothing really serious, according to John Gibbons and the Blue Jays. Just a chance to get him off his feet. He'll probably be in there tomorrow afternoon.
Michael Sanders went 8 for 24 on a road trip with 3 doubles. He also chipped in with 3 walks. He was on base a lot. He went around. It's 2-2.
Boy, look where those pitches are. I mean, Sonny Gray's not a big guy. He's got outstanding mechanics as a pitcher. Really gets his hand on top of that ball and drives it down in the strike zone.
Sonny Gray strikes out Carrera. Good fastball. 1 down. Well, the Oakland A's, they have committed 15 errors, but there are 2 players that have committed the bulk of those, Danny Valencia and Jed Lowry. In the outfield, Chris Davis, Billy Burns, and Josh Reddick. On the infield, Chris Coghlan is at third base tonight. Marcus Semien has really improved his defense early on. Jed Lowry has committed 4 errors so far. Yonder Alonso's at first, and Stephen Vogt, the veteran, behind the plate. Josh Donaldson spent parts of 4 seasons with Oakland. He was their everyday third baseman the last 2 years and made the All-Star team for the first time in 2014, playing for Oakland.
And thank you for getting traded over to the Blue Jays. He has done it all for Toronto. Something always special when you face your former team. You renew acquaintances and see some of the guys. A lot of the guys behind the scenes too. Clubhouse guys and trainers, staff members. It's always good to see them.
Sonny Gray looked like he wants to throw an inside pitch to Donaldson here. 0-2, 1 out. Looks like an inside cutter. Sonny Gray can do a lot of things with the baseball. In that regard, he's a lot like Marcus Stroman.
He throws nothing straight. His fastball can cut, it can sink, it can run, and he has command of it. That looked like a Marcus Stroman type of pitch, cutting that fastball inside. And then he's got that wipeout breaking ball. There it was right there. He maintains his velocity throughout the ball game, and he's very competitive out on that mound. We were talking in the opening that he might not have the name recognitions of the Felix Hernandez and the David Prices of the world, or the Chris Sales, who we're going to see on Monday, but he's just as good as all of those guys.
Donaldson loses the bat and strikes out. Good breaking ball as Gray has struck out the first 2 here tonight.
Well, there it is right there. That's a hammer curve, as they call it. Throws right out of the same arm slot as his fastball. He gets on top of it. Look at the rotation and the spin on that thing as it makes its way towards home plate. And as a hitter, if you've got fastball on your mind and he drops that thing on you, you end up with these types of swings way out in front, off balance.
2 strikeouts for Gray. This is his 4th career start against the Blue Jays. Bautista goes after the first pitch, bounces it to second. Easy inning for Sonny Gray. Just 7 strikes, 11 pitches overall.
has been suspended 80 games for testing positive for a banned substance. Now, in a statement released by the Players Association earlier this afternoon, Colabello said he has spent every waking moment since the day he found out, that's March 13th at spring training, trying to find an answer as to why and how. Colabello said the only thing he does know is that he would never jeopardize the integrity of the game of baseball. He did confide in teammate and good friend Kevin Pillar, who told me it's been weighing on Chris, and being able to talk about it publicly now has lifted a huge burden off of him. Buck, he says it was a tough secret to hold on to.
Well, Hazler, that really explains a lot of things that we saw with Colabello in his play. Obviously playing with a lot on his mind, and it wasn't the same Chris Colabello at the plate we have seen the last couple of years, and you can imagine the burden he was carrying with him.
And if you know Chris Colabello like we know Chris Colabello, you're pulling for him, you feel terrible for him and the ball club, and you hope that those 80 games go very quickly, because he'll be missed around the clubhouse.
This is Chris Davis, the left fielder. Pass Darwin Barney into center field. Davis with a leadoff single. That's 3 hits already for the A's.
Aaron's got that good fastball, but he's going to have to get it a little bit down in the strike zone. This one about thigh high over the middle of the plate, and Chris Davis, who's been struggling offensively, maybe he came out of it a little bit yesterday with the game he had against the Yankees, hits it right back through the middle. He was brought over here to supply some power for the A's.
Yonder Alonso. Alonso, the first baseman, batting .130 starting the season. Yesterday did not play for the first time this season. He drives it over Goins into center field. Back-to-back hits to start the second.
Swing for the fences and save during the DIY Expert Sale. Only at Home Building Center and Home Hardware Building Center.
Beautiful evening here in Toronto. The roof is closed. A little bit cool outside. The A's threatening here in the top of the second. First 2 reach. Now the number 9 hitter, Marcus Semien.
I know they don't like to sacrifice bunt too many times, the Oakland A's, but doesn't this scream out sacrifice?
No bunts showed there as Semien takes one upstairs. It makes you wonder. The A's have jumped all over the fastball. They probably looked at that last start that Sanchez had against Boston and felt like, well, we're going to go looking for fastballs early in this game.
Hunt fastballs. All they have to do is look up the stats. 88% of the time he threw his fastball against Boston. That's why I said you can't run away from that curveball. It was a good one in the first inning. He happened to hit that batter to start that rally. And the changeup and the cutter might be a good pitch for him tonight.
Yeah, he's got a good changeup. He only threw one changeup in that game against Boston. 2-0 to Semien, the number 9 hitter. Now it's 3-0. Oakland's playing with a lot of confidence right now. Leadoff man Billy Burns. He flied out on 1 pitch his first time up. There's a strike. Oakland is the only team in baseball that hasn't lost a game on the road this season. They're a perfect 6-0. Bob Melvin encouraged by the pitching they have gotten. And despite the fact their team has committed 15 errors, they have played much better. Ground ball. Donaldson has it skipped by him. They're waving the runner home. Here's the throw from Carrera. It's a good one in time. He got him. Ezequiel Carrera starting in left field. That ball wasn't that sharply hit, and I'm a little surprised they sent him in that situation.
With nobody out and the number 9 hitter, they were going to turn the lineup over, had the bases loaded, had no outs. But you look at the scouting report, and it must be the Oakland A's are going to try and run on Carrera. One more time, the ball gets by Donaldson into left field. Ron Washington sends him. It's right in front of him right there. And I think he knew as soon as he sent him home that he was going to be out. Wash has been around this game a long time, a little bit over-aggressive that time.
Washington came back to the A's last May 21st after managing 8 years with the Texas Rangers. Carrera was very shallow when he got that ball. It was no problem at all for him to throw out Chris Davis. That's a big out. Pete Walker out for a little chat with Sanchez. He might have suggested, hey, let's mix some other pitches in here.
Maybe throw some off-speed pitches. Work in that changeup.
Billy Burns. There's a pitch upstairs. Burns has good speed. He's a tough customer to double up.
And he is a very aggressive swinger at that plate. He's got one of the highest first pitch swing percentage in all of baseball. If you make your pitch, you can get him out. Tough to walk him.
Oakland has grounded into 9 double plays this season. Burns has yet to hit into a ground ball double play. Three hits in the inning. 5 in the game. Ground ball. Goins will go to the bag. There's one back to first. Not in time. Burns can scoot. That was a tailor-made double play ball right to Goins. It took him to the bag. DeMarlo Hale checking with the replay review room for the Blue Jays.
And Justin Smoke did everything he could to try and cheat that one. One more time, you see Goins get his feet set, and all in one motion fires that ball over to first base. Watch Smoke try to drag that foot off the bag, but he is safe to try and get a steal. But it's not going to help. Burns is safe at first base.
Well, you can't sleep on Burns. He's 4 for 4 in stolen base attempts. He's at first now. 2 outs. Chris Coghlan was hit by a pitch. He scored the A's run in the first. He drives the first pitch deep to left center. Pilar's on the run. This ball is gone. Chris Coghlan goes opposite field against Aaron Sanchez. And the A's have come out swinging against Aaron Sanchez.
Early and often. Going to have to get that ball down, and when you don't get it down, good hitters have a tendency of hitting them a long way. Watch where this ball is. There's the glove down and away, and there's the pitch up. Coghlan does not have to reach for that ball. He just swings it.
It's the 11th home run allowed by Aaron Sanchez. The 7th here at Rogers Center. 2 outs. Reddick. Little looper into right. Bautista comes in and makes the catch, but Oakland has jumped out quick. 4 runs on 6 hits so far, including this home run off the bat of Chris Coghlan, his 3rd already this season. Cy Young Award voting. Dallas Keuchel of the Astros had a terrific season. And David Price, who split his time with the Tigers and the Blue Jays, he was second. But the surprise is who finished third.
Not surprised if you watch American League Baseball. Sonny Gray, 273 earned run average. His ERA before the All-Star break was 2.04 and a 198 opponent's batting average. A little bit rougher in the second half, but he finished third in the Cy Young voting. He was also third in the American League in earned run average.
Well, the Blue Jays in an early hole against Sonny Gray. This is his fourth career start. Edwin Encarnacion. Edwin on the road trip had the 2-homer game in Boston. Finished up with 7 RBIs and had a good trip, 345 with 10 hits and 29 at bats.
You know, so much has been said about the offense, and they're struggling, and they're facing good pitching, but it's a long season, and the guys just come to the ballpark every day and try to grind out at bats, and you get a couple of guys hot, and then the team takes off. But right now, everybody just seems to be struggling.
That's 3 strikeouts for Sonny Gray. 1 down in the second.
Struck out Josh Donaldson with the breaking ball, and it looks like he went to it here again with 2 strikes. Good overhand curveball. Gray last year led the A's in wins, starts, innings pitched, strikeouts, complete games, and walks. That thing's got a nice bite to it. 273 earned run average, 169 strikeouts, 208 innings. Picks up his 3rd strikeout already tonight.
Justin Smoke goes after the first pitch. With the news of Colabello's suspension, Smoke will get the majority of the work at first base now. Justin starting to swing the bat a bit. 3 for 10 on the most recent road trip, including 5 walks. He was on base quite a bit. Had his first extra base hit of the season in Baltimore in that 3-game series. Hit a double to deep center field.
Had his first RBI also. And you see players when they start to take their share of walks, that means they're seeing the ball, and the next thing to follow, they start hitting.
It's a high breaking ball. Gray ahead of Smoke, 2-1. Gray for his career has made 13 April starts. He's 9-2 in those 13 starts. Gray, as we mentioned, went to Vanderbilt, and he and David Price are very good friends, and you can see the similarities in his delivery, the way he sets up, keeps his hands in front of him, very limited movement, much like Price. Another breaking ball, another strikeout. That's 4 strikeouts.
It's almost like he's in a stretch the whole time, but it works for him. Let's take a look at the scouting report for Sonny Gray, what he features. He's got the full complement, the fastball, slider, curveball, and it's a knee buckler where he'll get a lot of strikeouts, a changeup in a cutter. And you talk to some of the Oakland A people and they say, well, what's so special about him? He can manipulate the baseball, and we've seen it here through the first 5 batters. He can manipulate it, he can spin it and throw it where he needs to.
Russell Martin has had a good run against the A's in his career, including 6 home runs and 18 RBIs. Trying to get things going with the bat. You know, you say, well, the Blue Jays have faced tough pitching. Well, you know what? It's the big leagues. You face a tough pitcher every night.
And it's also the American League, and there's tough teams in the American League. There are no gimmies over here.
When you look at the balance in the American League, the Yankees, they're 5-9, and they're not hitting a lick. Oakland swept them 3 straight. Houston They're 5-11. They're in the cellar in the AL West. Minnesota's got 5 wins. They're 5-11 in the Central.
Those were 2 playoff teams, Houston and New York last year. And Blue Jays playoff team struggling just a little bit offensively.
2 balls and 2 strikes to the Blue Jays catcher. Oakland has a 4-0 lead. A little bit low. Kevin Pillar batting 7th, and he'll be next if Martin can reach. Sonny Gray strikes out the side. He has 5 strikeouts.
The #1 live streaming sports service delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 supported devices. Includes a free subscription to @Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Buck.
Thank you very much, Hazel May. And Blue Jays' first game of a 6-game homestand. Chicago will be here Monday night. 3-game series. Blue Jays won 5 of the 6 games last year against Oakland. The only game the Blue Jays lost was out in Oakland. Sonny Gray started that game against Felix Doubront. The A's won it with a walk-off base hit in the 10th.
Picked up a no decision in that game, but was in line for the win.
Blue Jays tied it up in the top of the 9th with a bases loaded walk off Tyler Clippard. Sent it to extra innings, and Osuna took the loss. Jed Lowry leading things off here in the 3rd. Lowry called out on strikes in the 1st. High breaking ball. Well, we'll have to see if Sanchez is going to try to get the other pitches involved here.
Get him off their fastball. They've been hitting his fastball, and he's been hanging it. Best way to get him off that fastball, throw a changeup.
That was a changeup. Good movement, 88 miles an hour.
Still just a little bit too hard. When I've talked to Aaron in the past, I asked him, well, what's the miles per hour you want to turn around and see after you throw your changeup? He says more like 85 to 86 miles an hour. Nothing over that. It just resembles my fastball too much.
Curveball. Goins takes the liner. Another hard hit ball by Oakland.
Super Slow-Mo Cam. Brought to you by Rogers 4K TV. Get closer to the action with 4 times the resolution of HD alone.
4-0 Oakland. First game of a 3-game series. Stephen Vogt drove in the first run of the ball game with a bad hop double down the right field line. Ball hit the seam, bounced over the glove of Justin Smoke and went all the way down the right field line. He drove in Chris Coughlin with the first run of the game. Another changeup there, but it misses. 89.
89, still a little bit too hard. You want to change a pace. You want to get them out in front on that thing.
Little looper, and that's going to drop for a base hit. Stephen Vogt's 2 for 2.
So far in this game, everything you throw up there, they're on it. That looked like a cutter, and it fooled Vogt just a little bit, but he's able to pull his hands in and punch the ball out in the left center field. Aaron's trying curveball. That is a cutter. Watch him pull his hands in, and he gets jammed, and he floats it out into left field. The fastball, curve, he's trying everything. The Oakland A's are on top of it, on everything. 7 hits now he's given up.
Coco Crisp was robbed of a 2-run single in the first. Ryan Goins made a terrific play behind the bag at second base to throw out Crisp to end the first. At the time there were runners at second and third. Looked like it was going to be a 3-run inning, but Goins made a play to throw out Crisp. This is another reminder of how challenging it is to be a starter in the big leagues. This is just the 15th start of Aaron's career.
You go into Fenway Park and you stymie the Red Sox in that great hitter's ballpark, and he's had plenty of rest also. That start came back on the 17th.
(3-0), taking all the way. Coco Crisp dealt with injuries all season last year. He played just 44 games for Oakland. He hit just 175. Ball 4. So 2 aboard now with 1 out. Chris Davis, the left fielder. He had a sharp single into center to start off the second inning. Was thrown out at the plate by Carrera from left field. Davis was acquired from Milwaukee on the 12th of February in a trade that the Oakland A's sent 2 minor leaguers to the Brewers.
Brought over here to add some power. He had some big power numbers for the Brewers last year.
Ground ball. Goins quickly shovels to Barney. Return throw is not in time. Another broken bat ground ball. Wasn't that sharply hit. Goins knew he had to come after it. He shoveled quickly to Darwin Barney at second,
who did everything he could to try and tough that. That was going to be a tough double play chance by the middle infield. Goins with the feed. You can see it's a little bit behind Darwin Barney. Now he's got to deal with the bag, and he's got to deal with that runner. And I don't think there's enough evidence there to overturn the call on the field, which says safe.
So now this is really interesting as you look at that play at first base. The foot is in the air. The ball's still not in the glove. It is about as close as you can get to a tie. And the Blue Jays are going to review it. Now, is it on that play or at second?
Second base.
Because the guy slid over the bag at second.
Was Darwin Barney on the bag? Remember, I told you that the throw took him off the bag just a little bit. And Bob Melvin has gone out, and that's what I think he's going to do.
Yeah, Melvin came out right away, and it's like, okay, as soon as John Gibbons gets done, I have a request. I want you to look at whether or not Darwin Barney was on the bag at second. And then you've got the base runner. Did he go over the bag, Coco Crisp, and make contact with Barney? I mean, there's so many things going on in this review.
Yeah, and this could take a while. So sit back and we'll see.
Manager number 1 wants to know, first of all, was he out at first base on the double play? Then manager number 2, did Darwin Barney have contact with the bag in a neighborhood play at second base? Manager number 1 also wants to know whether or not Coco Crisp slid over the bag and could be called out for making contact with Darwin Barney. So now once again a long extended play. Watch the play at second initially.
Oh, he tagged it. Did you see that? He straddled the bag, caught it, and then tagged the bag with his left foot before he got rid of it. I think that one's going to stand there at second base, that he was okay.
This replay review is powered by Samsung. Well, everybody is standing around, and this has been a problem with this review. It just takes too long. Another look at Barney at second. There he is straddling the base. Does he kick it with his left foot?
On that one replay, it looked like he kicked it.
Then the bang bang play at first is the ball in the glove before the foot comes down. Man, there's all kinds of things going over on this replay.
Meanwhile,
I don't think Barney stepped on the bag at second.
That one shot showed that it might not have. Here we go. Safe.
So Coco Crisp is going to go back to second. And now John Gibbons is going to come out to find out what the interpretation was. And he said, wait a minute. But it didn't look like Barney stepped on the bag at second, and that was obviously the point of Melvin's request.
Throw took him off the bag, and it looked like he might have kicked it with his left foot, but then we had that other camera angle, and it showed that he missed it. And now John Gibbons has a message he wants to deliver to his starter. Let's take a look at that play one more time at second base. He's straddling. He wants to catch it with his right foot on there, but the throw takes him off. Yeah, and then on that one, it looked like his foot might have hit the bag, but that the other angle showed that he missed it completely. Heads up play by the Oakland A's.
So now there's still just one out. Gibbons with a little visit to the mound, have a chat with Aaron Sanchez. Crisp is back at second. Yonder Alonso had a base hit his first time up. Oakland has 4 runs on 7 hits. Sanchez has a strikeout. He got Lowry looking in the first. Alonso has a pair of grand slams. Big strikeout for Sanchez. He went back to the curveball.
Got to be able to get that curveball over. First couple of innings, the A's have laid off of it, and they've hit the fastball. This time Alonso comes up empty. That is a big strikeout.
Marcus Semien had a base hit to left field, and the Blue Jays were able to throw out the runner trying to score. Chris Davis at the plate. Big opportunity for Sanchez to keep his club within striking distance. Two balls, no strikes to the number 9 hitter. Votes at third, Crisp at second, Chris Davis at first. That'll do it. Goins snares the line drive. Another hard hit ball by Oakland, but right at the shortstop, and the A's leave the bases loaded.
In the TD comfort zone are guests of TD. Meanwhile, over in the Jays Care Community Clubhouse are folks from Youth Assisting Youth. Welcome everybody and enjoy tonight's ball game.
Great night at the ballpark, and a lot of kids having a good time in the Jays Care Community Clubhouse. And Aaron Sanchez did a good job of stranding the bases loaded in the third. Oakland, boy, they are squaring up the baseball tonight.
That's about 3 or 4 line drives that are caught by the infielders that look like base hits. Now the offense has to get it going.
7, 8, 9 for the Blue Jays. Pilar, Goins, and Barney. 6 up, 6 down, retired by the Oakland's starter, Sonny Gray. Bouncing ball. Coughlin cuts in front of the shortstop. 1 out. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Thank you very much, Jamie. Matt Moore giving up a couple of runs in that game. 1 out. Shortstop Ryan Goins. In case you're just joining us, Troy Tulowitzki and Michael Saunders both dealing with physical issues. They are not in the starting lineup tonight. Goins made a terrific defensive play to end the first. And he caught the line drive to end the third. 0-2. Gray has been ahead all night. Gray, pitching collegiately at Vanderbilt, was part of the reason they made a trip to the World Series. He's also had success in the postseason. Ground ball to Hopper to Simeon. 8 straight retired
You know, Sonny Gray, you know, he was originally drafted by the Chicago Cubs out of high school. Imagine if the Cubs had signed him and developed him, what their starting rotation would look like. But you mentioned he went to college, went on to Vanderbilt, and became a #1 pick of the Oakland Athletics, 18th overall in 2011.
Darwin Barney in the 9th spot tonight. Barney for the season, a .214 average. Swing and a drive, deep to left field. Darwin Barney has put the Jays on the board. First home run of the season for the Blue Jays second baseman, and that snaps a string of 8 straight shut down by Sonny Gray.
Number 9 hitter in that lineup. He's got one of the toughest jobs on the Blue Jays, the extra infielder. You don't get consistent playing time. You might go 3 or 4 days without an at-bat, but you have to stay ready. And he hits it off of one of the best pitchers in the American League. Cruising right along. Little cutter on the inner half right there. And Barney, who had a great spring for the Blue Jays, uncorks his first home run of the season.
22nd career big league home run for Darwin Barney, and that got the crowd here at Rogers Center engaged. One to Ezequiel Carrera. Sharply hit off the glove of the first baseman. Gray is there in time to make a nice play. That ends the inning. But the Blue Jays are on the scoreboard. Darwin Barney with his first home run of the season. And here comes the ultimate cleanup crew, brought to you by Home Hardware's exclusive line of the ultimate hard-hitting and tough-on-grime cleaning products.
Enter for your chance to cheer on the Blue Jays in Boston with WestJet. Go to bluejays.com/WestJet Flyaway to enter.
Good to be home for the Blue Jays in the Westjet flight deck, crowded with Blue Jay fans on this Friday night. Aaron Sanchez trying to sort things out. Ground ball to Hopper to Barney. Darwin throws him out. Barry Burns is 3-time. He is 0 for 3, and we're in the 4th inning.
Time for some quick innings for Aaron Sanchez so he can stick around just a little bit, maybe getting out of that bases loaded 1-out jam. Might do some wonders for his confidence.
Well, we mentioned the fact that Aaron's making his 15th big league start, and we have talked about this with veteran starters over the years. You know, you don't go to the mound with perfect stuff every night. You have to be light on your feet, make changes mid-stride, make some adjustments.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious that the Oakland A's were watching his last start, where he threw a lot of fastballs, and they've hit every fastball that he's thrown up there tonight.
Off-speed pitch, bounce to Smoke. Chris Coghlan is retired. 2 quick outs here in the 4th.
The all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Josh Reddick had a broken bat single in the 1st. He flied out to right to end the 2nd. Fastball runs off the plate. It's 3-0. Reddick is now 29 years old. He was acquired in a trade with the Boston Red Sox, December 2011. Second baseman Jed Lowry is on deck. Blue Jays scored a run on the bottom of the 3rd on the home run by Darwin Barney. Now Sanchez looking to put up a 0 here, top of the 4th. That'll do it. Reddick strikes out, not too happy about it. 11 pitches for Sanchez in the 4th, and the big bats are coming up for the Jays. Josh Donaldson will start things off, then Jose Bautista, Edwin Encarnacion, 2nd time through the order for the Jays.
'16 authentic jersey with 40th season sleeve patch available now. Get yours today at jshop.ca. Buck.
Thank you very much, Hazel. Usually fans anxious for A little comeback here. They trail 4-1 as they're set to bat in the fourth. It'll be Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion. The big guns for the Blue Jays. When Darwin Barney hit his home run, he becomes just the 5th Blue Jay batter to have a home run this season. Michael Saunders, outside of the big three, the only other Blue Jay hitter to have a home run.
That was a shocker when we were talking about that in between innings. Last year, the Blue Jays had 7 players in double figures in home runs. And that's just the 5th different batter to hit a home run for the Jays so far.
Ground ball up the middle, base hit. That'll get things started.
Second time through the lineup for Sonny Gray. He mowed him down the first time through with 5 strikeouts of the 9 batters that he faced. Now he gets to deal with Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion. See if the Blue Jays could mount a comeback. They do such a good job of filtering information and bringing it to each one of their teammates. His curveball that first time through was something else.
The first time Bautista faced Sonny Gray in August of 2013, he homered. In that start, Jose was 3 for his first 3 at-bats against Sonny Gray. Jose now 5 for 11 against the A's righty. Ball on the strike. The A's playing the infield to pull. See the big gap between Alonso and Jed Lowry.
Almost inviting him to hit that ball the other way.
This is popped into the seats. Well, don't you think that's part of the strategy? Just to take him away from his strength.
He might be more inclined to do it with 2 strikes now, so that's why you see Jed Lowry moving over to his normal position at second base. There's still a big hole over there. Bautista and Encarnacion and the rest of them, they'll wait just a little bit longer to try and stay on that breaking ball. Maybe you take 1 shot, right? Early in the at-bat when you're down by 3 runs.
Breaking ball. And Bautista strikes out. 6 strikeouts for Gray. That curveball has been a big weapon for Gray early in this game.
It's got tight spin on it, and tight spin makes it tough for the batter to pick up and differentiate between a fastball and a curveball. And right now they're not picking it up. 6 strikeouts, all of them swinging.
Good cut on that fastball. I think that's the one thing that we have seen from the Blue Jays lineup throughout the course of the early games here is they've gotten some pitches in the zone, but they're missing the fastball, and this is a great fastball hitting ball club.
I agree 100%. You know, they say you get 1 pitch every at bat to hit, and if you don't hit it, you're not going to get on base. And they've had their chances and their share of fastballs. Look at that number 1 right there in the pitch tracker. That's right in his fun zone. How many times have we seen Encarnacion take that pitch and knock it out of the ballpark? Then you go back and you look at some of the numbers and see what the Blue Jays are hitting against the fastball. They're 24th in the major leagues hitting the fastball this season.
Dribbler to short. Simeon for 1, back to first. It's not in time. Ball was in the dirt. Is scooped by Alonso, but Encarnacion beat the return throw to first to keep the inning alive.
And they're going to hold up one more time. That's why Vogt has gone out to talk to Sonny Gray. They might look at second base. They might look at first base. Once again, first to play, Simeon with the feed and Donaldson with the slide at second base. They might look at both of these.
Well, yeah, the Blue Jays are going to look at second, and there's the play at first, and Edwin looks to be out. But John Gibbons has asked the umpire, Jerry Meals, now they're going to go over here and say, okay, well, now the A's want to look at it. I mean, this is just it's really ridiculous that there are this many challenges in the game, and I think you have to eliminate the communication from the dugout to the video room. I think you just have to leave it on the field. Let the coaches and players on the field determine whether or not they want to challenge it, but you can't pick up the phone every time there's a bang bang play and say we want to challenge this.
There's too many of them.
Yeah,
there's just too many of them.
Way too many.
I kind of like the idea that Buck Showalter was telling us in Baltimore, that if you see a play that you want to challenge, you've got 30 seconds to get out there and tell the umpires you want it. Then they have a minute or two to look at it back in New York to determine it. If they can't come up with anything, play continues. Maybe that'll speed it up, but goodness gracious, it's like every single bang bang play there's a stoppage in play.
Now Oakland is contesting the call safe at first, and it looks like they might win that one. And now we have a decision. The umpires will make the call, and Edwin is out. The inning is over. So we will go to the fifth. Oakland has a 4-1 lead. Now time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn in the Samsung broadcast studio.
National broadcast of the Blue Jays and Tampa Bay Rays on May 18. 12 unique Blue Jays experiences and packages up for bids. Visit bluejays.com/broadcast auction to see a list of all prizes available. All funds will help Jays Care go beyond the ballpark for over 62,000 children and youth across Canada in 2016.
It's always a great event, and it's hosted by Ivanka Osmak, who does a terrific job of selling all those great auction items, and we'll make sure you check that out. There's another base hit. Jed Lowry slaps it past Donaldson in the left. Lowry's first hit of the night.
Boy, they look comfortable at the plate, don't they? Told you that they just went to New York and swept the Yankees. Hit 4 home runs in the game yesterday. First time since last July that they've done that.
Yeah, they're not really swinging the bats all that great for the season, but lately they're starting to swing a lot better. Came into this game batting .230 as a team. Stephen Vogt, he's got a couple of hits tonight. Takes the first pitch strike. There's a breaking ball fouled off.
I think Aaron Sanchez is learning a great lesson tonight. Some days you can get by with just your fastball like he did against the Boston Red Sox, and I got a chance to talk to him after that game, and he said, why change? Why you didn't need to use your fastball. Other times you're facing other teams and you're going to have to be able to get your breaking ball, your curveball, and your changeup over and pitch. And when you do that, you're going to be successful, which I've no doubt in my mind that Aaron Sanchez is going to be successful.
Yeah, you're going to run into hot clubs that are going to be on your pitches, and you might not have command of all your pitches on a given night. Aaron has given up a career high 8 hits tonight.
You're seeing his fastball. For as much movement as we have seen from Aaron this season, they're seeing his fastball and taking good swings at it.
Lowry's at first with a leadoff single. We have talked often to the coaches around baseball, and pitching coaches especially. They're always concerned about pitchers tipping their pitches. There's so much video in the game and so much technology that you can sit down at a couple of monitors and watch every pitch a pitcher has ever thrown. And if you see something different, it might be a red flag to a hitter. There's a pitch that just missed.
Pretty good pitch.
The technology is such now that the video coordinators of the ball clubs can take all of Sanchez's games and put them side by side, one game to another, and throw all of his fastballs on one monitor, all of his breaking balls on another, and see if there's anything different.
And organizations hire guys for that reason, to see if you can pick out something that pitcher's doing that gives away. And as a ball player, what's the first thing you think about?
That ball is drilled down the right side and up against the wall. Lowry is headed for third. Vogt stops at first base. Bautista got it back in quickly. And Stephen Vogt is 3 for 3.
When you start seeing a good fastball, mid to upper 90s fastball, get hit and as hard as it, what's the first thing you think about? Well, the Oakland A's know something. But a lot of these pitches have been bad pitches. That's a bad pitch right there. That is up. And he tomahawks that thing. It's going to be a long single as Bautista played it perfectly and got it back in quickly. And now it looks like there's a stoppage in play. I don't know if this is a thing that the Blue Jays told Goins to go in there to delay a little bit.
That's Chad Gerardo, who has just been called up from AAA Buffalo. He was with the Blue Jays in spring training, and he is loosening up. Go Crisp. He bunts it and bunts it foul. Crisp was ruled out in the third inning, advancing from first to second on a ground ball. It was a fielder's choice. He was called out. A's appealed it to video replay, and the call on the field was overturned, and Crisp was put back at second base. That is an error on Darwin Barney, who did not step on the bag at second. So Barney has been charged with an error. That was in the third inning.
Fielder's choice goes to Davis, who hit the ball.
(4-1) ball game. Sanchez needs a strikeout right here. He has 3 so far in this game. Missed with that changeup.
Still just a little bit too hard. If you're going to get a changeup, that curveball is a pretty good one. I think it's a good option for Aaron. Or if you want a pop-up, that works also. Something where those base runners don't advance and you can keep that double play in order. Get out of this inning.
That gets away from Russell Martin. Here comes Lowry down from third, and he's going to score. Martin let it get through, went all the way back toward the backstop, and just looked like it was a breaking ball. Kind of got off his glove, and Lowry comes in to score the 5th A's run.
Yeah, it was the curveball from Sanchez. He buries it low, but you're right. Russell can't get down there and stay down there. Tries to block that curveball. He's anticipating it. You can see the way he is. He's anticipating, but he just can't get down there and stay down there to block it. And another run scores.
It's a wild pitch charge to Sanchez. Full count to Coco Crisp. Hits this one into the seats down the right side. Vogt moves up to second base on the wild pitch. $80 pitches so far for Sanchez, and it's been a struggle. Aaron, coming into this game, had allowed just 5 hits over his previous 16 innings against Boston and New York.
And pitching deep into the ball game, helping out that bullpen. 6 innings, at least 6 innings in all 3 starts this season. Another long at bat by an Oakland 8 pitches to Coco Crisp.
Nobody out, top of the 5th. Pass Smoke down the right field line. Vogt's around third. He's going to score. Crisp is digging for second, and he'll stop there with an RBI double for Crisp, his 5th RBI of the season.
Boy, they've hit the ball hard all night long. 5 straight innings they've hit the ball hard. 3-2, tries to get back in there with the fastball, but it's thigh high on the inner half, and they hit it hard. One more time right by Smoke. There's no chance to pick that one.
So Crisp at second, his 2nd double of the season. Chris Davis is the batter. Still nobody out. Ground ball. Donaldson will hook Chris back at second. Davis is retired. And John Givens has made the call to the bullpen. So Aaron Sanchez, his day will come to an end with 1 out here in the 5th. It goes 4 1/3. He's responsible for 6 runs and 10 hits. The runner at second is his responsibility. Chad Gerardo will come into the ballgame and make his major league debut. Campbell Sanchez out of the ball game, 4 1/3. Oakland touched him up for a career high 10 hits. Chad Girardo making his major league debut. This is his 4th professional season, his first game in the big leagues.
Former first 9th round draft pick by the Blue Jays. 4 games in AAA for the Jays. There are his numbers right there. He had a good spring. John Gibbons said, I'm going to let him go and get his feet wet his first go around here in the big leagues. Well, I don't know if he was expecting him to get into the ball game like this in the 5th inning on the first night he was here.
First pitch, strike. Yonder Alonso. Bouncing ball. Goins coming from behind second, shovels the first in time.
This Blue Jays Rogers 4K broadcast is powered by the Samsung 4K SUHD TV.
Coco Chris moved to 3rd on the out, and it's the 2nd out of the inning. Number 9 hitters Marcus Semien. He goes after the first pitch. Blue Jays saw Girardo a lot in the spring. He had a pretty good spring training. It was a long shot to make the ball club. This ball is hit high in the air. Pilar calls for it over in the alley. And Chad Girardo is a big league pitcher. He gets the first 2 outs. This season, his Mets teammates have staked him to an early lead.
Nothing that the Atlanta Braves can't fix for him. They've had a tough first couple of weeks of the season.
Sonny Gray has allowed 2 hits over 4 innings. He hasn't walked a batter and struck out 6. It'll be Smoke, Martin, and Pilar for the Jays in the 5th. Smoke hooks it foul. Smoke struck out in the 2nd. Gray struck out the side in the 2nd.
Well, he can afford to be a little bit more aggressive, Sonny Gray, now with a 5-run lead in the 5th. And I think if you're the Blue Jays, I think you Just go up there and keep it simple. Just see the ball and just hit it and see if good things will happen.
That's a tight breaking curveball, really tight spin, tough to pick up for the hitters. It's been an effective pitch for Gray all night.
When he is ahead in the count like he is right now, he tends to go to his fastball just a little bit more. The next pitch, he uses that breaking ball. There's another one.
Smoke strikes out to start the 5th.
It's a tight, over-the-hand type of curveball. A lot of times you'll see curveballs that will sweep towards home plate. Sonny Gray has that ability to get on top of it right there and pull down, like you're pulling down the window shade, and snaps that ball, and it's got great overhand spin to it.
Russell Martin. You catch him at 128. He goes after that first pitch. Russell with 6 singles so far this season. A little bit of frustration in that Blue Jays dugout. They haven't been able to really get the bats going just yet. And this is a ball club that has hit and hit well.
Looked like they were coming out of it in Boston when they had a nice come from behind win there. They had won 3 in a row. Looked like they were starting to come out of it, and now Baltimore stymied them. And Sonny Gray is pitching to Jim.
Popped up. That's going to be out of play.
I think the last thing you want to do is overanalyze everything. Start overanalyzing everything offensively, and you're going to hurt yourself. Just get your work in every day. Take your time in the video room, have a game plan, and go in there and start putting good at bats together.
Sometimes it just gets back to seeing the baseball and trying to get a good pitch to hit.
That's what I mean. Yep. Keeping it simple.
Just try to eliminate all of the thinking and just have a simple approach, get a good pitch to hit, and hit it hard.
You can't guide it when you get in there. Sometimes you can overthink it, and the next thing you know, you're walking back to the dugout.
Martin drills this one to the deep part of center field, and one hops off the wall. Russell Martin with his first extra base hit of the season. A 1-out double. Boy, he got on top of that high pitch.
We have a chance every day to watch the Blue Jays. They take batting practice. We get a chance to watch them in the games, and you can watch them work and do their things. One of the things we have seen from Russell Martin, his swing path is so much better. That time he stays right on it. He stays in the middle of the field. They are shading him to right center field. He crosses up the defense by hitting that ball in the left center field. That's where his strengths lie, right there, left center to right center.
Kevin Pillar grounded out to third base his first time up. That pitch that Martin hit looked like a cutter that kind of backed up a little bit, came inside
and went right to his barrel, and he was ready to hit it.
Blue Jays just need to chip away. They're down by 5. Blue Jays have only scored 7 runs twice this season. That's their season high. Little chopper. Coghlan cuts in front of the shortstop, throws in time. The Blue Jays have managed a run on 3 hits, and when you look at the opponent's batting average, leader since 2013, Sonny Gray is second to Chris Sale.
224 since 2013. Last year, the opponents hit just 217 against Sonny Gray. And that batting average, 7th lowest in Oakland history. And think about all the great pitchers that they have had over the years. And it's no secret around the American League, he is one of the finest pitchers in this league.
2 outs, Ryan Goins. Grounded out to shortstop. Yeah, you start with Catfish Hunter, Vida Blue, Ken Holtzman, and there's a host of them.
Mark Mulder,
Tim Hudson,
Barry Zito.
Yeah, there's quite a few pitchers. And
how about the 5 aces from the early 80s? Matt Keogh and that bunch. Brian Kingman, Mike Norris.
Curveball bounced in front of home plate. Martin stays put at second.
But that opponent's batting average, 217 last year against Sonny Gray, 7th best in their history.
Gray was slated to be the opening day starter, but he had to bow out. He was hit with a case of food poisoning. Rich Hill made the start opening day.
And Buck, we would be remiss if we didn't mention Dave Stewart also pitched for Oakland, and Bob Welch.
Yeah, they've had a bunch of great pitchers.
Great pitching. Sonny Gray, I'm going to put him in that category.
One and two, 2 outs. Russell Martin at second. Inside.
Teams have really, at least the early going of the season, have pitched the Blue Jays inside a lot. They have really pushed them off the plate. How many times have we seen a pitch just like we saw right there from Sonny Gray against Ryan Goins, stand him up and push him back?
Blue Jays have been hit 10 times by pitches this season. Pull on the ground. Jed Lowry at second. The inning is over. The Blue Jays leave a runner in scoring position. We've played 5 innings, and Oakland behind Sonny Gray has a 6-1 lead. Jamie Campbell. The New York Yankees have lost 3 in a row, and they've got concerns about their starting staff. They are 3-6 at home in the Bronx this season. Well, the Blue Jays continue to get some bad news. Russell Martin has left the ball game. I don't know if it's necessarily a situation where Martin is injured. He might be just taken out of this game here in the 6th inning with the thoughts of looking ahead to tomorrow, a day game after the night game.
And all indications, you know, standing around the batting cage, it was he's going to play tomorrow.
Yeah. So maybe John Gibbons just felt like after Russell hit to end the 5th and get him out of the game. We don't know, obviously, if there is an injury or that's the case, but he might just be taking Russell out of the game and giving him a little break, thinking ahead to tomorrow. Jay Happ will start for the Blue Jays, and he is 2-0 so far this season. Back to the top of the order, leadoff man Billy Burns. He's 0 for 3. He's the only starter that doesn't have a hit yet. Chad Gerardo came into the ball game with 1 out in the 5th and retired the first 2 batters he has faced in the big leagues. He got Yonder Alonso to ground out and got Marcus Semien to fly out, and now he hits Billy Burns.
Their best base runner is on board. 2-0. Looked like a 85-mile-an-hour fastball that just hits him, pulls it just a little bit too far inside. Hits him right in the thigh. Gerardo pitched well in the spring. John Gibbons was saying before that he deserves to be here if they were going to make some moves, and they did today. Another lefty in that bullpen.
Chris Coghlan takes the first pitch strike. Coghlan was hit by a pitch and scored in the first. He hit a 3-run home run in the second and grounded out in the 4th. Chad Gerardo began his career with the Blue Jays in 2013 at Lansing. Pitched all year in 2014 in Dunedin, and last year he jumped 3 levels, went from Dunedin to AA and finished up with 4 games in AAA Buffalo. He's a college player. He pitched 4 years at Mississippi State, was drafted after his senior year, and that's when he made this delivery change and dropped down to the side. It was suggested by his college coach.
And that can be very deceptive, because look where he starts on the mound. He starts on the first base side of the rubber, and against left-handers, that's a very tough angle to pick up the baseball. A little bit like Aaron Loop, who starts on that side and then throws 3/4, not sidearm, or 3/4, but he throws across his body, creating a very tough angle for that hitter to pick up the baseball.
Just off the outside corner. 1-2. You mentioned Aaron Loop, and he's been hurt since spring training. And another lefty that joined the team, Franklin Morales, he's on a disabled list. The Blue Jays have been plagued by injuries to their lefties.
And the injury to Aaron Loop gave Chad Gerardo a chance to really show what he can do in spring training. Pitched a lot. An extended look, and Blue Jays like what they saw. He was one of the last few cuts.
Breaking ball. Barney will go to second. They get 1, and that's all they'll get. Get the lead runner 1 out. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. You don't see that very often, a steal of home. Matt Moore is the pitcher for Tampa Bay. It's a 3-3 game in the bottom of the 5th in New York. Josh Reddick struck out in the 4th. Gerardo impressed the coaching staff with his command in the spring. He moved the ball around very effectively, threw pitches to both sides of the plate, fastball, slider. Pete Walker was impressed by his composure.
Can be tough on lefties. With that pitch right there, look at some of those swings from some of those left-handed batters.
Gerardo is from Alabama. He's 25 years old. As we mentioned, he was a senior when drafted out of Mississippi State. Too far outside. That ball gets away from Tolley. Coghlan moves up. That ball just got away from Josh Tolley. Coghlan took off immediately once he saw it get away from the catcher.
It looks like it's going to be a pass ball. Also, Blue Jays, that's 3 straight games where they've had a pass ball. Slider, he just hits him right in the wrist. And it doesn't have to go far. If you're alert over there at first base and see that ball away from the catcher, you can move up.
Reddick caught looking at strike 3. First big league strikeout for Chad Gerardo. Gerado's in the game after Sanchez pitched 4 in the 3rd. He gives up a career high in hits and runs. 10 hits, 6 runs. He walked 1 and struck out 3. That's a souvenir for Chad Gerardo, his first big league strikeout against Josh Reddick looking.
Take that one and put it right in the locker. Make sure you put all the information on there, what the inning was, who the batter was.
Jed Lowry, a switch hitter, batting right-handed for the first time. He singled and scored in the 5th. Scored on a wild pitch. You're right, it's unusual. The Blue Jays have had pass balls in each of their last 3 games, and of course 2 nights ago the one was the decisive play in the game when the Orioles scored their run on a pass ball in the 10th.
Cost them. A couple other pitches, wild pitches in the dirt that have not been able to get knocked down.
Goins gathers and throws out Jed Lowry. Chad Gerardo is through the 6th. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th. The Blue Jays will send Darwin Marty to the plate when we come back. new Honda Civic, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Last season, Darwin Barney came to the Blue Jays in the middle of September, hit a couple of home runs. Well, here's his first one in 2016. Jumps all over this pitch from Sonny Gray, sends it out of here for the Blue Jays' only run of the game so far, and Darwin Barney has the drive of the game. Pretty good guy to hit your first home run off of in 2016.
For Barney, his 22nd big league home run, and we had mentioned that Barney joined the home run hitters. We shortchanged a couple of Blue Jay hitters with home runs. Josh Tolley and Troy Tulowitzki have both homered for the Jays. (6-1) Oakland, bottom of the 6th inning. Blue Jays have 1 run on 3 hits. Darwin Barney responsible for the run with that home run. 2 balls and no strikes.
Keeps looking down at Chris Coghlan, the third baseman, and he's not falling for this. He doesn't think that Darwin Barney is going to drop down a bunt. Blue Jays need some base runners.
Three and 0. Carrera will be next. There's a strike as Gray pours in that fastball. Michael Saunders did not start this game, nor did the shortstop Troy Tulowitzki. Check swing tapper at home.
2 nice bats, one left, one right, that you can use at the end of this game if the Blue Jays can get a little bit closer.
Tulowitzki made a couple of diving plays in Baltimore, and the report is he's got a little bit of a sore hip. Inside, leadoff walk for Darwin Barney. Hey, you never know.
It happens so many times for the Blue Jays. They get those last 2 guys on and flip it over, and the big guys start coming up, and then the wheels start falling off.
Back to the top of the order. Ezequiel Carrera as Bautista getting ready for his turn at bat. That's a base hit inside the bag at third. Barney is headed for third. Carrera will move into second. You never know where a rally might start.
And they do get the first 2 batters on in the 6th before the middle of the order comes up. That second guy in the inning after the first guy gets on, I think is so important, because now you start to think, if you're the Blue Jays, big inning. If he makes an out, then you've got 1 guy on and you got to restart your rally. But when that second guy gets on after the first guy does, now you're thinking multiple runs. Keep the line moving. Let's see if we can drop a 3 or a 4 spot on the A's right here. Good piece of hitting right there by Carrera.
Josh Donaldson. Josh singled to center to start the 4th.
That hit also seems to have woken up the crowd here.
Two and 0. This has happened so many times over the last year and a half, where the Blue Jays get the bottom of the order on base for the big guns, and then they cash in. Bautista has hit well against Gray in the past. He will be next.
Boy, getting those first two guys on, it's got to be a feeling of pressure for that pitcher having to face these guys. With guys on base, nobody out, you're just searching for a strike at this point.
Home run cut on a 3-0 pitch, fouled off the catcher's chest protector.
Now that's a violent swing. That's how you swing at a 3-0 pitch. You're not trying to get a soft single. You're thinking about unloading. What a finish by Donaldson.
3-1. Donaldson with 6 home runs is tied with Robinson Cano for the lead in the American League. Ball fourth. That'll load the bases. Second walk of the inning, and that'll bring Bautista to the plate with the bases loaded and nobody out.
The right fielder, number 19, Jose Bautista.
There are the numbers with the bases loaded for Bautista.
He had a home run cut right there. You mentioned the numbers against Sonny Gray in his career, 5 for 10 coming into this ball game. One of those 5 hits, a home run. He would like nothing better than to put one in the seats right here and change the complexion of this game.
Inside. Ball on the strike. Blue Jays trying to get back in this ball game. Oakland has a 6-1 lead. High fly ball into shallow center field. Billy Burns makes the catch. Here comes a run to the plate, and Marty slides in safely. Bautista picks up the RBI with a sac fly. Marty with a good head-first slide slides in safely.
The Oakland A outfielders only have 1 outfield assist all season long. That's Josh Reddick in right field, so you got to take a chance. Even though you're down by 5 runs at the time, ball was hit deep enough for Barney to slide around the tag from Stephen Vogt and get one more on the board. Bautista appreciates the hustle. He gets the RBI.
12th ribby of the season for Bautista. Barney has scored both of the Blue Jays runs. 1 out for Edwin Encarnacion. Blue Jays are doing a good job laying off those borderline pitches this inning.
Now just 1 out in the infield, in the pole stage right here. 3 infielders pulling. Look where the first baseman's playing. Yonder Alonso. That allows Josh Donaldson to get a huge lead at first base. If there is a ground ball, he's got to slide right into the bag and stay on the bag. He can get as far as that first baseman.
Hey, that's another aspect of that new rule that really handcuffs the offense, because you know he can't break up 2, so the first baseman can get way off the bag. He's not worried about shortening up the lead of Donaldson at first.
There's no such thing. There's no reason to anymore.
1-0 to Edwin. Swinging a fly ball into center. Burns coming in and makes a diving catch. That ball was dying, and the umpire at first has made the call that Burns dropped that ball, but he was taking it out of his glove. And that's the second out of the inning.
Right at Burns. Just got enough speed to corral this. Take a look. He's transferring it and drops it. But he was called out. He makes the dive and he makes the catch. And in the mind of the umpire, he started to get up and dropped it, but it was enough for a catch.
A run in. Now there are 2 outs. Justin Smoak will come to the plate. He has struck out both times he's come up. Last time on a sharp breaking curveball from Gray. Inside with the fastball. Gray with 2 walks this inning. Carrera is at second. He had a double. 2-0.
Time to keyhole him right here. Get your pitch, whatever it is. He's a good low ball fastball hitter.
Carrera's at second. Donaldson's at first. A 2-0 count on Justin Smoak. 2 outs in the inning. Three and 0. Josh Thole came into the game defensively in the 6th.
No Russell Martin, who doubled his last time up.
And load the bases. So the bases are loaded for a second time this inning. The Blue Jays are in desperate need of a big hit. Russell Martin, as Pat mentioned, doubled in his last at bat, and then he was taken out of the ball game, and we have not been given any indication whether or not there was an injury involved. So Josh Thole will bat. Thole has a home run this season that came against Drew Smiley in Tampa Bay.
Had a pitch out over the plate, and he swung hard, and it got it out of the ballpark in right center field. You could do the same thing right here.
Goes out for the first pitch. That's a foul ball.
See, when the pitcher throws 4 consecutive balls to load the bases, you as a hitter, you're looking for that first pitch fastball right there. And if you get it, try and do some damage. I mean, you're talking extra bases. Clear the bases with 1 hit. That's what Thole did, and he just didn't get good wood on that.
Three walks in the inning. Blue Jays trying to take advantage of that. Going 2. Ball in the dirt. That curveball blocked by both. Blue Jays have loaded the bases twice in this inning. Jose Bautista with the sacrifice fly chased home Darwin Bunny.
3 walks and a double, and all they've been able to score is 1 run. That's been a theme, hasn't it? The first couple of weeks of the season, lacking that clutch 2-out base hit.
In the 3 games in Baltimore, the Blue Jays were 6 for 30 with runners in scoring position. Curveball taken. 2-2.
Stephen Vogt not. I think he thinks something is up. The way that Josh Tolley took those last two curveballs, maybe he's getting something flashed to him from that runner at second base, so he goes out and gives a verbal sign.
Well, everybody is paranoid about relaying pitches, tipping pitches, so Vogt may have gone out there and verbally given Sonny Gray the next pitch. 2-2, 2 outs. Full count. Another curveball missed outside. So now the runners will be off on the pitch. Kevin Pillar would love to come to the plate in this inning. Gray has walked 3. Carrera's at third, he doubled. Donaldson walked, he's at second, and Smoke followed suit with a walk. There go the runners. Ground ball, second base. Lowry has it. And the Blue Jays leave the bases loaded. Twice in the inning they have the bases loaded, and all they can get is a single run against Sonny Gray. Great opportunity to get involved with the Blue Jays, and that walkway is right to the clubhouse, and they see it every single day. So if you make a signature, they put it on that wall, and Blue Jays will walk by that every day they go to the field.
Remind me to bring my Sharpie tomorrow.
All right.
And I'll sign it myself.
Marcus Stroman was slated to start on Sunday, but he will be pushed back to Monday, and he'll go up against Chris Sale in Game 1 of the Chicago White Sox series. Drew Hutchison will be called up from Buffalo, and he will start on Sunday, and it is just a plan to get Hutchinson one start and give the starters an extra day.
And I asked the Blue Jays today, what if he pitches really well? Not going to happen.
Yeah.
Unless there's an injury, he's going to go right back down to AAA. But it's just to give everybody that extra day, because the Blue Jays are in the midst of a long stretch of games.
When they have the off day on Thursday, that will finish a stretch of 16 straight games played by the Jays, and then they will pick up another stretch of 13 straight before they have another off day. So John Gibbons and Pete Walker trying to figure out how they can keep everybody as fresh as possible. They'll use a 6th starter on Sunday. Stephen Vogt's a 3 for 3 so far. Had an RBI double in the first and a pair of singles. Breaking ball. Looked like it caught the corner. Didn't get the call. 2-1. Jesse Chavez has been plagued by a bad back. He had a bit of a tight back in Baltimore, and he couldn't pitch in that series. Three balls and a strike to the leadoff man here in the 7th. Catcher Stephen Vogt. Chad Girardo in his first big league game. an inning and 2/3 so far. He had a strikeout of Josh Reddick, his first big league strikeout. Ground ball. Smoke will flip to Gerardo.
Swing for the fences and save during the DIY expert sale. Only at Home Building Center and Home Hardware Building Center.
Coco Crisp. He's the DH tonight. He's had an interesting night. Had an RBI double his last time up. Crisp was switch hitter.
He's had a good career. Been around a long time, and he has played on some good ball clubs.
He's had a heck of a career, and he has started his career as an infielder, moved to the outfield, became a very good center fielder, and he has had plenty of highlight reel plays in the outfield. Originally signed by the St. Louis Cardinals. Played his first professional season in 1999. There's another base hit for Coco Crisp. Line drive into center. His second hit of the night. First hit given up by Chad Gerardo. And John Gibbons has made his way out of the Blue Jays dugout. And he has called on Jesse Chavez to come in. So Chad Gerardo, in his first big league outing, holds his own. He'll turn things over to Jesse Chavez. Broadcast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Top of the seventh inning, one out. Jesse Chavez comes in, making his sixth appearance against his former team.
Jesse was down for the 3 games that the Blue Jays were in Baltimore with a back issue. But before that, his last game was a week ago today in Boston, and he was blowing gas. He threw an inning and had a couple of strikeouts, and we saw 94-95 with late movement. So he might be fired up again here today to face one of his former teams.
Jesse played 2.5 seasons with the Oakland A's. Last year, he lost a career-high 15 games. He was a starter for Oakland, made 26 starts. In 2014, he was 8-8. 8 wins was his career best. facing Chris Davis, who has gone 1 for 3 to this point.
Traded to the Blue Jays for Liam Hendricks.
High fly ball into right. Right fielder Bautista moves under it. 2 down. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. He's got an update for us. Houston, after going to the playoffs a year ago, off to a slow start. Entering play tonight, 5-11, 5 games back of the Texas Rangers. They're in the basement. There goes Crisp. He got a great jump. The throw is into the baseline, and what a tag by Ryan Goins. Goins hung in there, and the ball tailed on Tolley. It went into the base path, and Goins stuck his nose in there. Mark Kotsay, the bench coach for Oakland, on the phone, checking with the video room.
So we are in hold mode once again. Crisp takes off. The ball's tailing. And you're right. Goins works around the bag, catches the ball. Let's see if he gets the tag down before he gets on the base.
Looked like Crisp had his hand on the bag before Goins made contact with his foot. There's the tag. The A's are not going to challenge the call. We'll go to the bottom of the 7th. Sonny Gray set to start the 7th. Boy, the Blue Jays had him on the ropes in the 6th and just couldn't cash in. They scored a run on a sac fly. They had the bases loaded twice in the inning, but couldn't come up with a big hit.
All 3 of his walks last inning. I mean, he lost it. That feel for that curveball, just couldn't get it over that inning. They had him on the ropes, but couldn't deliver.
Bottom 3rd of the Blue Jays lineup here in the 7th. Pilar, Goins, and Barney. There's a base hit to right. Boy, that was a pretty swing.
A lot of hits over there in right field. You slow your swing down just a little bit. You slow the movement at the plate. You can track the ball just a little bit longer. Remember the 6 hits he had in Boston? Maybe one of them was pulled. Everything else was center field and right field. That time he leads off the 7th inning with an inside-out base hit.
We have just been informed that Russell Martin left the ball game with neck spasms. That came after his at-bat in the 5th inning.
Well, hopefully he'll be okay for tomorrow's game.
Shortstop Ryan Goins takes one down and in. Fly ball to left. Chris Davis over toward the foul line. Pillar's tagging, and he's going to advance to second. Kevin Pillar moves up 90 feet. He caught Chris Davis flat-footed. Kevin Pillar going back and watched the play unfold as he was making his way towards second and continued right on through.
I don't care what the score is or what the inning is. Kevin Pillar is going to play hard. All you have to do is go back. It's an easy fly ball to left field. You go back and tag, assuming he's going to catch it, and then sprint as fast as you can and read the outfielder. If he lays back on that ball and lobs it in, or if he throws it off his back foot, he's got enough speed that he can move up.
Well, you just never know how that might contribute to your getting back into the game. Kevin Pillar takes nothing for granted. Darwin Barney's had a good night at the plate. He homered in the third, walked and scored in the sixth. Base hit to left. Kevin Pillar being waved around third. Darwin Barney with his second RBI of the night. Credit that RBI to Kevin Pillar.
His heads up base running and his legs first got him into scoring position, then reads the ball immediately off the bat of Darwin Barney, base hit, and his speed gets him around. Watch him at second base, reads it right away that that ball is by Coughlin, the third baseman, and he's going to score without a throw. And like you said, you never know what heads up base running like that can do. It can ignite the offense.
Darwin Barney had a perfect night at the plate. Sonny Gray with a quick visit from the pitching coach, Kurt Young. That is Ryan Dahl, who is ready, standing by in the A's bullpen. 6-3 ball game. Ezequiel Carrera had a double in the sixth his last time up. He shows bunt, pulls the bat back. He's very good at dropping down that bunt.
Not a bad idea. You got the first baseman holding the runner on. The second baseman, Jed Lowry, deep. If you can get that ball by Sonny Gray with his speed, now you bring the tying run to the plate.
Well, he's drawn Chris Coughlin even with the bag at third now by showing bunt. Ball in the dirt. It's a big at bat in this ball game. Bottom of the seventh inning. A run in. Donaldson on deck. Ground ball. Lowry shovels to short for one, back to first, and in time, Carrera bounces into a 4-6-3 double play. Blue Jays score a run. Oakland with a 6-3 lead. the Blue Jays player of the game would be. Tonight they picked Justin Smoke.
Well, they guessed correctly that he was going to be in the lineup tonight against Sonny Gray, and MLB The Show said 1 for 2 with a double and a couple of walks. He's actually 0 for 2 with the base on balls. Smokey in the lineup now. For the time being, he'll be the everyday first baseman. They also said, you know, you might see it when Encarnacion gets some time over there also.
Of course, in case you're just joining us and haven't heard the news, the Blue Jays were notified today that Chris Colabello would be suspended for 80 games for failing a drug test. Unfortunate news for the Blue Jays and Colabello. Let's see, Chavez, first pitch is bunted off home plate, foul off the bat of Yonder Alonso. 8-9-1 for the A's here in the 8th.
11 hits for the A's, 6 runs, and Alonso's trying to get himself his second. Josh Donaldson, the third baseman, is almost inviting him to try that bunt again.
The A's have 11 hits. That's 1 off their season high. They had 12 hits against the Royals at home on April 15th. Their season high in runs, scored 7. Most recently, April 21st, last night in New York.
In New York, the game that they were able to sweep the Yankees.
Jesse Chavez 1-2 on Yonder Alonso. Pulled foul on the breaking ball. Jesse is pleased to be back with this ball club. He likes the makeup of the team. He loves the composition of the bullpen. Cutter just missed the outside corner. Little tapper out in front of home plate. Chavez throws to first in time. 1 out. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Brian McCann with 3 RBIs tonight. He has 7 on the season. CC Sabathia was knocked out of the game. Ivan Nova has come into the game and pitched 2 1/3 of no-hit relief so far.
Well, you know what that means now with the lead late in the game.
Yeah, the big boys
here
coming on.
All the strikeouts
with Hanses and Miller. Shortstop Marcus Semien. Ball on the strike. Semien is 1 for 3. Bob Melvin's club off to a great start on the road. They have gone 6 for 6 in road games so far this season.
That sweep yesterday after they beat the Yankees, first sweep in the new Yankee Stadium for the Oakland A's. It's pretty impressive.
And the only team that has not lost a road game this season.
They're having some fun with it. Reading a couple of articles today where they're starting to call themselves the Road Warriors. It's only been 6 games, but they've played really well.
The A's won their first 11 games in 1981 on the road. They went 8-0 in 90 and 6-0 in 2013. This is a 10-game road trip. They'll go to Detroit after this. Chavez strikes out Simeon.
It's time to convert your big outdoor tasks into short, effortless work. Make the great outdoors even greater with Honda Power Equipment.
Leadoff man Billy Burns. He was hit by a pitch in his last at bat. He's 0 for 3 so far tonight. Ball on the strike. Chavez has retired all 3 batters he's faced since coming into the game in the 7th.
This is how he was throwing in Boston. Hitting the corners and throwing hard.
Pat Venditti also pitched for Oakland last year. Loosening up. 3-1 now to Billy Burns. Now the count is full.
Good pitch. Tough to walk this guy. He only walked twice all season long. He moves up there swinging. He's showing some patience against Jesse.
Slaps it wide of third. Chris Coughlin on deck. He had a big hit in the 2nd, a 3-run home run. That made it 4-0 as the A's jumped on Aaron Sanchez early. Pass Goins into center field. Burns is quick. Pilar comes up throwing and will hold Burns to a single. Burns was thinking about 2 right there, and Pilar made a good play.
And Burns joins the hit club with that one. Fastball, they wanted it inside. He got it outside and got it past Goins. That's the first ball that the A's have been able to get by Ryan Goins at shortstop. Just slaps it the other way.
12th hit of the night for Oakland. First for Burns. Now every starter has a base hit. Twelve hits ties their season high. Chris Coughlin, I mentioned his 3-run home run in the 2nd. Burns at first, 4 for 4 in steal attempts this season.
They had 26 of them last year. They feel like they can try and get an add-on run by him getting in the scoring position. Wouldn't surprise me.
Outside, 2 balls and a strike. Hit in the air. Goins out. The shortstop calls for it and makes the catch. They'll go to the bottom of the 8th. Oakland has a 6-3 lead. Now time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn.
Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by the all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Oakland as the Jays are set to bat in the bottom of the 8th, and they will do it against a new pitcher. Sonny Gray is out of the ball game, and a new pitcher is Ryan Dahl. In his rookie season, he came up last year and pitched in September, and he's off to a great start this year.
Sonny Gray is listed at 5'10", so is Ryan Dahl's guy, but they throw strikes. 9 strikeouts, no walks so far for Dahl. He was a 32nd round draft pick. Very rarely walks people. Is very aggressive within the strike zone. A little bit of a slider, a changeup, and a fastball with some good sink. So if you're the Blue Jays, expect something in that zone and be ready to swing it.
Late breaking slider, and it's 0-2 quickly to Donaldson.
And scouting reports on Ryan Dahl, he's got some deception in that delivery, and he's got some late movement. He just showed Josh Donaldson the late movement on his slider.
Dahl gave up a home run on Wednesday night in New York to Carlos Beltran. That snapped a streak of 7 consecutive games to start the season without allowing a hit. First time an A's pitcher has done that since 1913. 7 straight hitless appearances to start the season. Ground ball. Simeon in short. Gobbles it up. Just in time to get Donaldson.
Well, they're asking a lot of the young guy. Face Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion in a 3-run game. Obviously, a first look for the Blue Jays at this young right-hander.
You ride the hot hand. And he hadn't given up a hit in his first 7 games before the Beltran home run on Wednesday night. Jose Bautista had a sac fly his last time up. That was in the 6th. Jose has not reached base tonight, and he has reached in all 16 games prior to this one. You go back to last season, he's reached in 30 straight games.
Amazing. Great eye at the plate. An idea.
Bouncing ball, big hop for the shortstop, Simeon. 2 outs. Sonny Gray started through 100 pitches on the nose, 7 innings, 6 hits, and the Blue Jays really let him off the hook in the 6th. They had the bases loaded twice in the 6th inning and couldn't come up with a big hit.
Started this game on fire, striking out 5 of the first 6 batters that he faced. He gave up a home to Darwin Barney in the 3rd. And then you're right, they had him on the ropes. 3 walks and a double. And they could only score 1 run against him.
The A's have lost their previous 6 games here at Rogers Center. They have not won a game here since August of 2013.
They also had a leadoff single last inning, an RBI hit by Barney, and Carrera ended up hitting into the double play. That would have been interesting if he got on base, what they would have done if they would have kept him in the ball game.
Breaking ball, strike 2 to Edwin Encarnacion. Blue Jays have 3 runs on 6 hits. Darwin Barney has 2 of those 6 hits. Way outside in the dirt. Rick Jacoby trying to gather some information on a new pitcher, Ryan Doan.
New pitcher, you don't have the information that you need. You got to go back and you got to look at some of the video, look at some of the scouting reports that other teams have on him. It's a short and sharp and late breaking slider that he has. Just watching him here on television for the first time.
It's a high pop over near the seats, and that's going to reach the seats well out of play. This is the 5th professional season for Ryan Doan. As Pat mentioned, a 32nd round pick. And you got to feel fortunate if you're a 32nd round pick and you make your way to the big leagues. Odds are stacked against you, that's for sure.
UNC Asheville is where he went to college.
Chris Conroy, the umpire at first, waves no swing on the appeal. Justin Smoke is on deck. Ball 4. 2-out walk issued to Edwin Encarnacion. Justin Smoke will come to the plate. Smoke has struck out twice and walked tonight.
Blue Jays make it interesting, don't they? I mean, they just keep the pressure on. And with their ability to hit home runs, I don't think they're ever out of any games. I mean, if he pops one right here, it's a 1-run game.
Outside. This is a good matchup because Dole doesn't have that big breaking ball. It's kind of a flat slider, more effective against right-handed hitters than lefties.
And if you time it and you catch it out in front like that, that's what happens. You hit it in the second deck. Sonny Gray's breaking ball is nasty. I mean, he can get it off the hitting plane. You almost have to hit a serious hanger to do anything with it. This little slider, if it stays over the plate, Justin Smoke's liable to hit it a mile.
Pulls that pitch, might have been off the plate inside as Dahl gets a hit 1-2. Justin looking for his first home run of the season. He had 18 last year. upstairs. That evens the count at 2-2. Blue Jays went 3-4 on their 7-game road trip through Boston and Baltimore. That's a full count now with 2 outs. Encarnacion will get a running start at first.
I know this guy comes into the game. He hasn't walked into the body all season long. I know it's early, but then 2 outs, 2 quick outs, and then he gets Encarnacion and gets very defensive, ends up walking him. Now he's a pitch away from walking Smoke.
There goes the runner. Fouled back over the screen, out of play. Josh Tolle is on deck. Russell Martin left the game with neck spasms after his at bat in the 5th. He doubled in the 5th, and Tolle came in defensively in the top of the 6th. Just foul. That kicked up chalk in front of first base. The first base umpire, Chris Conroy, waved it foul.
Boy, that was close. They've got the 3 infielders on the right side of the infield, so it's going to be tough to get it by them. But that's a good call. That ball hooked foul before it got to the bag.
So we'll do it again. Another full count pitch. Another foul, this one at home plate. Quite a battle going on between Ryan Dull and Justin Smoke. Gonna get the fastball. Fouls it back.
What an at bat.
9 pitches. We'll do it again. Smoke got a pretty good pitch to hit, and that has been frequently what happens. Blue Jays get a pitch that they can drive and they foul it back.
That's another one. Right back, fastball right in the wheelhouse, and he missed it.
7 foul balls in this at bat, and the catcher Stephen Vogt out to encourage Dull. Smoke's been on a few of these pitches. Base hit, center field. Encarnacion will turn, head for third. Justin Smoke had a good at bat. Delivers a 2-run single.
11 pitch at bat. And with that single, he's going to bring the tying run to the plate, and that's going to bring Bob Melvin out. They've had Sean Doolittle warming up in the bullpen, a lefty. And this is interesting. He knows that the Blue Jays can't really pinch hit for Josh Tolle. He's already in the ball game.
So Sean Doolittle will come on, and he is going to face Josh Tolle, who's getting some information from Rick Jacoby. 121 games last year because of shoulder problems. He is healthy again, and this will be his 10th appearance. He has 2 saves. Ryan Madsen has done the majority of the closing so far. So Doolittle will face Josh Tolley with runners at the corners.
Closing experience, though, for Sean Doolittle. Impressive fastball that he will fire in there. A little bit of a breaking ball. He's starting to work a little bit with a slider, but you will get a fastball from Sean Doolittle. He likes to challenge hitters.
First pitch is upstairs at 95. Josh Tolley grounded out to second in his only at bat. That was back in the 6th. Ball 2.
The thing about the Oakland A's is they don't have just one go-to guy who's their closer. They actually have 3 guys who can close games for you. So it's a luxury for Bob Melvin, and then he can pick and choose how he wants to use them.
Depending on where you are in the game, where you are in the opponent's lineup. Josh Tolley has a home run this year. It came against the left-hander Drew Smiley. Three and 1. Roberto Osuna has joined Pat Venditti. Ball 4. The bases are loaded again. The Blue Jays loaded the bases twice in the 6th. Managed just a single run.
Oakland A's are doing them a favor, walking batters. They had 3 in the 6th inning, 3 walks, 2 more here in the 8th inning. Blue Jays looking for a big hit. Who's going to do it?
Kevin Pillar ripped a single into right in the 7th. Went after the first pitch. Blue Jays trying to rally back here in the 8th. Ground ball, base hit, and Carlos in to score. Here comes Smoke right behind him, and Kevin Pillar has made it a 1-run game.
Kevin Pillar represented the go-ahead run, so the outfielder, Chris Davis in left field, was very deep. And by the time he runs that ball down, he has no play on Justin Smoke at the plate. Kevin Pillar squeaks that ball through the left side, and the Blue Jays are down by a run. It's another 1-run ball game. You can see how deep Davis is in left field, so no chance to get Smoke.
All of this started with a 2-out walk, and Pillar with a little capper, a 2-run single. Encarnacion and Smoke coming in to score for Pillar. RBIs number 4 and 5 on the season. His 2nd hit of the night.
You know, also, Bob, representing the go-ahead run, they were playing the third baseman on the line. No doubles. Sometimes you just have to pick it out. You can see him on the line right there, and that helps Pillar squeak that ball through. If you're playing straight up, maybe he gets to that ball.
Ryan Goins batting now. The tying runs in 2nd. Go-ahead runs at 1st. Good cut by Goins.
Now you can shorten it up. He has done a better job against left-handers by using the whole field. Interesting contrast now with a one-run game and a runner on. Look where the left fielder's playing now, Chris Davis. Very shallow.
The catcher, Tolley's at second. Ground ball. Second base, Laurie throws to first, and the inning is over. But the Blue Jays scored 2 in the bottom of the 8th. Kevin Pillar delivering a 2-run single with 2 outs. We'll go to the 9th.
Junior Jays Club presented by Boston Pizza. This year's membership kit features a Blue Jays ball cap, sunglasses, backpack, and more. Exclusive access to members-only events such as an autograph session and photo day with Blue Jays players. Purchase your membership kit at any Jays Shop location or by visiting jshop.ca.
Always a great time on Junior Jays Saturdays, so make sure you check it out and sign up your kids to be a part of it. Roberto Osuna coming into this one-run game. Reddick, Lowry, and Vogt. Jed Lowry, the second baseman, will bat second, and Stephen Vogt. So middle of the order, so you summon your closer.
Bring him in here, try to hold it right there, and see if you can win it in the bottom of the 9th inning. Osuna picked up a save. It was his last time to the mound. They stretched him out an inning and a third, and he has been perfect this season.
Blue Jays scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th. It was the first 2 inherited runs the A's bullpen has allowed to score all season long. Broken bat. That's a base hit. The shift costs the Blue Jays a hit here in the 9th. So Josh Reddick with his second hit of the night. Both of them broke bat singles.
Sandwiched around, a couple of strikeouts and a flyout. That one right off the end of the bat. A little sinker that Osuna's been working on since that fastball. But unfortunately, the Blue Jays were in that shift, so it finds its way into the outfield.
Second baseman Jed Lowry will turn around and bat left-handed again, the switch hitter. Grounded out against Gerardo his last time up as a right-handed hitter. Lowry's 1 for 4 with a run scored. Scored on a wild pitch in the 5th. Popped up. Tolley off with the mask, moves underneath it and makes the catch. Lowry pops out. Brian Madsen with 6 saves, loosening up for Oakland. Stephen Vogt 3 for 4 tonight. Jesse Chavez with an inning and a third of 1 hit relief. Now Osuna.
Blue Jays just moving their infield to extreme pull against Stephen Vogt. There it is right there. That's Josh Donaldson at straightaway shortstop. Surprised a little bit on this because Osuna throws so hard. You would think, and there's not a lot of information. Osuna hasn't faced the A's a whole lot, but there's not a lot of information. But you would think that they wouldn't be getting around on that fastball.
Off-speed pitch pulled on the ground, and Barney will flip to first with the shift. Everybody had to converge over to third. Donaldson and Intole met at third base just in case that ball got away at first.
Well, that's one way to throw an off-speed pitch and let him pull it right into the shift.
Intole and Osuna discussing the next hitter, Coco Crisp. He's doubled and singled in his last 2 at-bats.
I'm going to put him on. Face the right-hander.
Chris Davis is on deck, and they will put Coco Crisp on. Davis single in his first at bat. He is 1 for 4 tonight.
They also don't have any lefties on that bench, so they know that they'll get the matchup that they want. Right-hander Osuna versus Davis.
Osuna coming into this game had held lefties to a 133 average. Righties hitting just 182. It doesn't really make much difference to Osuna. So the intentional walk has been issued. 2 outs now. Left fielder Chris Davis. Blue Jays are down by a run. Osuna trying to keep it a 1-run game. No swing according to the first base umpire.
Told you that Davis was brought over here to drive in some runs. He's been striking out a lot.
He's going to drive in a run here. Reddick is around third. He's going to score. The ball gets away from Carrera, and then he overthrows the cutoff man, and Coco Crisp scores all the way from first. Carrera misplayed it in left, and then when he got the ball back in, he overthrew the cutoff man, and that allowed Coco Crisp to score all the way from first.
Well, they brought him over here to drive in runs, and Chris Davis said he was well overdue. He said, I'm not taking pitches right now. He says you can't get hot by taking pitches. So he was in swing mode. Jumped all over that pitch from Roberto Osuna, hit it hard, and now some bad defense by the Blue Jays. First, the miss by Carrera, then he overthrows the cutoff man, so no chance to get the back runner and Crisp, who's just now crossing the plate. So the Blue Jays defense cost him a run.
Yonder Alonso at the plate with Davis at second. 8-5 Oakland. Oakland with a season high 8 runs and also a season high 14 hits.
And Chris Davis jumped on that pitch. That's what they've been waiting for from that guy.
2-1 for Davis. 2 RBIs gives him 6 for the season. Pulled foul.
You know, one thing we've learned about this team, the Oakland A's, is they can hit a fastball. They've been on a couple of fastballs tonight.
Started early. They scored 4 runs on 6 hits in the first 2 innings off of Aaron Sanchez.
Did Josh Tolley, what happened there?
Not sure what happened, but something happened as that pitch was on the way. I'm not sure if he got crossed up or what, but he was very awkward and now. Not sure what happened, but Jerry Meals gave Tolley some time to regroup.
Let's see.
And that's what happened. Tolley slapped back that right hand and caught Jerry Meals on the mask. Not seen that before. Jerry Meals giving Tolley a little break, chance to regroup and get feeling back in that right hand. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Broken bat grounder. Barney was way out in right field. Has to shovel in a hurry to get Alonso, and the inning is over. But Chris Davis with a big 2-run double to left has made it an 8-5 A's lead. Ryan Madson in to try to close things out.
Sportsnet app and stay up to speed with the live pitch tracker, in-depth stats, and exclusive video highlights, plus live stream on the go. Download for free today.
Well, the Blue Jays closed ground on the A's, made it a 1-run game, but they give 2 back in the top of the 9th. Ryan Madson has 6 saves and 6 opportunities so far this season, but the Blue Jays have had his number in the past.
This is his 10th game already this season. There are his numbers. You mentioned the 6 for 6. He's tied for 9th in innings pitched with those 8.2, and you're right, just 8 appearances in his career versus the Blue Jays. He's given up 5 earned runs, 9 hits, 4 games last year. They know all about Ryan Matson. He was with Kansas City last season.
Madsen appeared in Game 6 of the League Championship Series, and the Blue Jays scored 2 runs on him in that outing. Darwin Barney's had a big night at the plate. He's 2 for 2 with a walk. He has homered and driven in 2. He scored a pair of runs. Starting at second base, Troy Tulowitzki did not start this game. Ryan Goins played at short. That's driven to left field, but Chris Davis is there. 1 out. Now for a preview of what's coming up on Sportsnet Central. Here's Brendan Dunlap and Jackie Redmond. Thank you very much, Brendan. That's coming up right after this ball game. The A's have put their DH in left field. That was Coco Crisp who made the catch in left.
Bob Melvin's done that a couple of times this season. Sometimes as a defensive replacement like we have seen tonight. Sometimes out of necessity. He had to do that the other day when Danny Valencia went out and Kendall Graveman actually was pitching that game and entered the game and batted 4th in the game at Yankee Stadium.
Herrera bunts it out in front of home plate. Stephen Vogt's throw is in time. It was bang bang, and Tim Leeper said we better look at that one. Looked like he beat it.
Yes. What a play by Stephen Vogt, who came out from behind the plate. He shot out of there, dropped the mask, rounded into that, and did everything he could to make the out over at first base. Pretty good bunt by Carrera. But look at Vogt. Quickly get that ball over to first base. He is called out. Yonder Alonso stretches for that ball.
Boy, he stepped in the middle of it. Had he caught the front edge of that first base, it would have been very clear, but I think he beat it. I don't know if there's enough evidence to overturn it.
That's what they're going to look at. But you're right. You're taught to step on the front part of that bag. Shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. You get there quicker.
You can hear the reaction of the crowd as the replay is being played on the big scoreboard here. Jerry Meals is the crew chief. There's another look at it as Carrera stretches for the base. Boy, that's a tough one. As close as it gets.
He's on the base. And I don't think the ball is in the glove yet, but is there enough evidence for them to overturn that? Call on the field as he's out.
We've seen some bang bang plays and where the call on the field is upheld because there just wasn't enough definitive evidence to overturn the play, and this one might fall in that category.
When does it constitute the ball in the glove? When is it determined that the ball is in the glove?
That has changed since the introduction of instant replay, and it is when the ball touches the leather, not necessarily when it's secured in the glove. It's when contact is made. That's when they judge it to be in the glove. And here again, there's another lengthy delay, and I think baseball's got to address this. We have had several of them tonight, and it certainly interrupts the momentum of the game.
Yeah, the flow of the game for the Blue Jays. So here's a shot from the side. I saw one replay up on the big board where you can see the ball actually going into the glove. And looked like Carrera might have been on the bag.
It is the second out of the inning, and the out call is being reviewed. And obviously with Donaldson and Bautista coming up next, an important part of the ball game for sure. And Madsen now got to stand around and wait for the decision. Donaldson is 1 for 3 tonight, singled in the 4th. And they uphold the call. So now there are 2 outs, and again, just doesn't look like he beat him. There wasn't enough evidence, according to the umpires in New York.
This is the one I was talking about. Watch the ball into the glove. When is it into the glove? He's on the base now, but that constitutes being in the glove. Right there.
As soon as it touches the leather.
Yeah.
So Blue Jays are down to their last out. 8-5 Oakland. Two and 0. Last pitch looked like it was pretty good.
That high strike has not been called all night. All night. You can see on pitch tracker, it looks like it came back in there, but Jerry Meals has been very consistent behind the plate tonight.
Same pitch.
Same result.
3-0 now. Madsen's got some movement on that fastball. Roberto Osuna gave up 2 runs in the top of the 9th. Chris Davis with a double. Popped up. This is playable. Alonso at first base takes it in foul ground, and that's the ball game. Ryan Madsen picks up his 7th save of the season, and the A's hitter put up season high with 8 runs and 14 hits.
14 hits. They hit a lot of fastballs tonight, and Blue Jays fought back and had the tying run at the plate, but ended up losing a tough one. And the A's still haven't lost on the road this year.
We'll be back here tomorrow afternoon. Right-hander Chris Bassett goes to the mound for Oakland against the lefty Jay Happ. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon. Stay tuned. Here's Sportsnet Central. Brendan Dunlop and Jackie Redmond.